Hey, and welcome to It's a YP Thing podcast. I'm Pansy Johnson, and I'm all about encouraging, educating, and elevating young professionals. And I'm super excited to be connecting with you all this week. And this week, I'm excited about the topic because it's literally a topic that has been so powerful in my career journey. And so, the topic we're going to be talking about today is the power of relationship building. I actually mentioned this in my last episode. So if you have not had a chance to go listen to the last episode, definitely go check it out. But today we're going to be talking about the power of relationship building, how it can impact you, not only professionally, but personally, how it's impacted my life and my career. And I'm just going to be giving you some tips and advice to really help you along your career journey in relationship building, right? For some people, relationship building comes pretty easy, okay? And for some people, it might not be as easy, but it is a skill set that can be developed. And we'll be talking about that. And I'll be giving you some tips on what you can do to really help start to build those relationships that will help you in your career journey. So, some of the top three things that I want you to think about when we talk about relationship building is be genuine, be intentional, and build authentic connections. So, let's start with being genuine. When I say be genuine, what I mean is just be yourself, right? Be yourself, be down to earth, be kind, just be honest with your intentions when you are trying to build a relationship. So, we're going to talk a little bit later about this example that I have, but you're going to learn that when I'm building those relationships, I'm always open and honest about my intention up front. You can also evaluate my intentions based off of my actions, right? When I'm building that relationship with someone. The second thing is be intentional, right? Be intentional about the relationships that you build. It is going to be so vital. I made up in my mind very, very early on in my career, literally the first year within my career, I was like, I am going to network. I am going to try to connect with people that do not look like me. I'm going to try to connect with people that are not in the same career path as me because there is something that you can learn from every person that you come in contact with. And I want you to keep that in mind and have that mindset as we continue throughout this conversation. And then the last thing we're talking about is building authentic connections. Yes, you can have a plethora of people that you know, but are those connections authentic? That is what is going to sustain you and keep these relationships sustainable, where you can reach out to someone that you haven't spoke to in 10 plus years, but because the connection was so authentic, they will literally stop what they're doing. They're like, yes, how can I help you? Like, what can I do to help? Yeah, you let me know, because that relationship that you have built with that person was authentic. One thing that I want to talk about is I'm going to talk about two relationships that I built very early on in my career. One was with a coworker that I had at one of my previous jobs that I worked at. And then the second one was with a mentor that I ended up developing. And so with a coworker, we literally worked so close together. We worked so close together. And so that relationship literally just built authentically. And so that's another thing. Some relationships are going to build organically, right? Because you might be, if you're working with someone and you're literally at work Monday through Friday, you don't have a choice but to build a relationship with that person. And if you're like, okay, no, just because I work with them all the time, it doesn't mean I have to build a relationship with them. Well, I would challenge that and say, at least get to know that person on a deeper scale so you know exactly who you're working with, and you never know where that relationship can go, whether it goes somewhere or it doesn't. If you're working with someone Monday through Friday, 40 hours out of the week, if not more, I definitely would challenge you to get to know the individuals that you are working with. You don't have to be close with them, but definitely get to know them and allow that relationship to build organically. So with that coworker, we literally was working together all the time, and over time, we got to learn more about each other, right? Through just casual conversations, um, beyond just work. And so I would say that was the genuineness, right? And that's the things that it just comes when you are working with someone. You're in those type of conversations. You're just letting it flow, right? Just let that relationship building flow. And as you continue to work with somebody, things will start to come up, and then you're able to, like, in those conversations, be able to ask in-depth questions about that person, and learn a little bit more about their background just by you asking, like, where a person is from, what their background is. Do they have any siblings? Like, some of those base questions, it can definitely, like, lead the conversation on into really deeper and really understanding that person. So also, don't underestimate those small little questions that you can ask someone that I just mentioned, that will allow you to be able to learn a little bit more about a person. Okay, so if you're ever in a tight scramble and you're like, I don't know what to say, I don't know how to start the conversation, just ask, hey, where are you from? You know what I'm saying? Like, that is something so simple. And I've noticed that most conversations that I've had with people that I don't know, and that's our first interaction, a lot of times they'll ask me that, and it literally will just go so far, and before we know it, we're talking about something all the way in the left field that you can you know what I mean, like, I've gotten to know about them, they've gotten to know about me, and at this point I've learned that they've been to 50 or more states, and all these different things, and they have a dog, and they have a cat, and just all these things about them, just by asking them one simple question. So if you're ever in a bind, just ask somebody, where are you from? Where are you from? So I think that is one thing I would say when you're just kind of like building that authentic connection, and you're trying to get to know a person on a deeper scale. And so we got to know each other, and literally we were around the same age. So that made it that obviously there was that connection there. And that's another thing that I would encourage you, if you're ever struggling with, like, connecting with someone, and it doesn't have to be y'all have to be the same age or in the same demographic or anything like that, but I'm just saying, look for areas where you do connect, where you do um have something in common. That is the easiest way to connect with someone. Anytime that I'm conversating with someone, I am literally looking and listening for things that we might have in common, and that will also continue to keep the conversation going. I know when I was in my internship early on in my career, and I would go to all these different networking events, and I was meeting new people. Oh my gosh, I don't know how many times. So if you don't know, I attended the University of Central Arkansas, UCA, go Bears. And literally, when I would go to networking events, anytime that I would hear someone, we're in conversation, they're like, oh yeah, I attended University of Central Arkansas, bingo. I'm like, yes, like, go Bears, I did too. And literally every single time, it's like that connection. It's just something about that connection piece when you connect with somebody. Actually, recently, maybe a year or so ago, I was at an event, and someone else came up to me, and they were like, I overheard you talking, I heard you went to UCA. And I was like, yes, I did. And so it's that connection piece, and I never forgot that person's name. Literally, to this day, I can remember their name, because it was that connection that instantly brought us together, in a sense, and allowed that relationship to continue to build. So ask questions, ask the simple questions. Don't ever underestimate the simple questions, and always look for, if you're struggling in a conversation and you want to really challenge yourself to continue to keep that conversation going and get your communication better, when you're communicating with someone, start to listen for those commonalities, and really not only learning that person, but see where y'all have things in common, right? It can be the smallest thing that you would least expect, right? Um, So definitely be listening for those things, and you will really see that might be the starter of a long-term relationship, whether it's professionally or personally. Another example I want to talk about is how I had developed a mentorship. And I have several mentors, and I love all of my mentors dearly. And but this mentor I actually reached out to, that worked within my career, and she was just killing the game. I ended up meeting her, and listening and just meeting her through like mutual coworkers. And I was, they were like, you need to reach out to her. You need to reach out to her. She'll be great. And people had actually mentioned me to her as well. So that was great when we actually got to like connect with each other. But I reached out to her, and I was just genuine. I want to go back to the basics, right? I talked about being genuine, being intentional, and building authentic connections. And this is going to hit every single one of them. The way that I was genuine is I reached out to her. I let her know, hey, I would love to speak with you. I would love for us to like have lunch together just so that I can get to know you better. I'm super early on in my career, and I want to be able to learn more, and I wanted to know if there was any tips that she can give me as a young professional. And she was more than open. And just by me not only being intentional, right, letting her know up front, these are the things, this is why I'm reaching out to you, right? I'm reaching out to you because I want support. I want advice. I want that guidance from you, from your expertise. But I also was genuine about it. I was honest and truthful, and let her know that I'm willing to listen. I'm willing to learn. And I can tell you this, people appreciate that so much when you're not just asking them for their expertise, but you're willing to learn and implement them to become a better version of yourself. A lot of times, I think sometimes I'll say this. Sometimes we as young professionals can think we kind of got it all together. We got it all together. The more experienced demographic, they don't understand us, right? They don't understand us. But I would have to challenge that and say, open your mind as a young professional and be more intentional about getting with individuals that have been in their careers 20 plus years, 30 plus years. Get with them, because there is so much you can learn if you will just sit there, humble yourself, and listen. There is so much that you can learn, and there is so much that I have learned as a young professional, just taking time to sit with individuals that have been in their careers, that have been able to tell me things that they have done great at, things that they could have did better. And that has helped me be able to grow as a young professional and just be better in my career all around, and become a better person, just because I'm learning from their experiences. They're telling me their experiences, and so I'm able to not only learn from their experience, but if I'm put in that predicament, I can think back, okay, this is what they said that they did. And this is it has helped me be able to get through certain things within my career and within my life, because I simply listened. So I would challenge you to be intentional, be genuine, and listen. You don't know everything. We don't know everything. Everything we are learning on a day-to-day basis. And I think the best thing that you can, and that I've learned, is that the the best experience is learning from someone who has already been through it. I know my mom used to say, been there, done that. Okay. And that's the best experience, is when you can learn from someone who has been there, done that. Okay. And it can actually, you can avoid some running into issues, or running into challenges, or running into brick walls, because you listen to individuals who had already experienced that. So I would say that's something that I definitely have learned from my mentors, and just building authentic connections. Like I said at the beginning, build that authentic connection. You will see that those connections will develop authentically as the conversations continue to grow and increase, and as you continue to learn more about a person, that relationship will build over time. And there is so many relationships that I have built and connections that I have made with individuals that have truly helped me, both personally and professionally, and they've helped me really grow within my career. And it's so many individuals that maybe I don't talk to them on a day-to-day basis, but I know if I call them, oh, they're going to answer and they're going to be there when I need them to be, and vice versa. And so I think that's important, to have a network of individuals that you can connect with. And if you need them in any different type of situation, circumstance, professionally, in the business realm, maybe you have questions about something within your career, you have individuals that you can call on and that you can depend on. It is so vital. It is so important. And the last thing I'm going to talk about with relationship building is, yes, be genuine, be intentional, build authentic connections, and do not burn bridges. Do not burn bridges, especially don't burn bridges with individuals that you think you're going to need in the future. Okay. And I would say a lot of people, we don't know who we're going to need. So I would say be intentional about not burning bridges, because you never know who you're going to need in the future. And even if, you know, you don't continue this long term relationship with someone, or you and this person don't hit it off, still, just sometimes it's good to just keep it mutual, keep it professional. When you see them, hey, go on by your business. It's no issues, it's no problems. But one thing in your career, you definitely don't want to burn bridges, because you just don't know who you're going to need. And I think that's very vital, and that is very important. So we've talked about a lot, but to sum it all up, you want to be genuine, you want to be intentional, you want to build authentic connections, and you do not want to burn bridges. Okay, you don't want to burn bridges. This is the power of relationship building. I really believe if you utilize all of these areas and you really take the tips and the advice that I've given you today, you are going to be successful in a relationship building. And you're going to look up and you're going to have a plethora of individuals that you have been connected with and that you can lean and depend on throughout your career, both personally and professionally. So I'm Pansy Johnson. I'm all about encouraging, educating, and elevating young professionals, and I will see you in the next episode. Peace.